Hi, and welcome back to the Tom Morgan Drum Studio. This video is all about grip. That's really where you start when you're learning how to play snare drum. We've got to think about how we hold on to the sticks. So when I start a student, I oftentimes, if they've never played the drums before, rather than try to tell them how to hold the sticks, I'll just ask them, well, here, take the stick and hold it the way you think it should be held. And maybe 8 out of 10 times they're going to come pretty close because the way we hold the sticks is really the most natural way. It's evolved as being the most natural and the most easy way to play the drums. Now, there are actually two popular grips that people use. One is called the match grip, and that's the grip we're going to be learning. But there's also another one called the traditional grip that looks like this, and there's a big history behind this that I'm not going to get into now. And I may do a video on the traditional grip later on in the series, but certainly the match grip has become the standard grip, and you can play all the percussion instruments with very little modification of this grip, including marimba, vibraphone, timpani, everything, along with snare drum, can be played with virtually this same grip. So this is the best way to start. So how do we do it? Well, to begin, I want to just talk about what is the natural position of your hand. And if we look at our hand, I'm going to walk up here so you can see it better. My hand, if it's totally relaxed, is slightly curved. My fingers are slightly curved. My thumb wants to fall somewhere around the first joint of my index finger here. So I don't walk around all day with my hand like this or like this. I walk around when I'm relaxed or sit down. My hand is just like this. And notice that there's a gap here between my thumb and the side of my hand. That's very important. So if that's the way my hand looks when it's relaxed, when I put the stick in my hand, I want it to look as much like its relaxed position as possible. Notice here, my thumb is still falling against the first joint of the index finger, except that now the drumstick is there. But it's still in the same position it was when I was just relaxed. The gap here between my thumb and the side of my hand is maintained, and my fingers are slightly curved still, just like they were before, and I'm just, it looks very, very natural. Now, to go into a little more detail, the place I'm actually gripping the stick is right here. These two little grooves here, the first two knuckles of my index and middle finger, were put there by God to hold the drumstick. So the drumstick fits in to that little crevice in each finger, and then my thumb falls against it. The pad or fleshy part of my thumb falls against it so that I'm actually gripping the stick between my thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger. You can see it better this way. Okay, so it creates what we call a fulcrum, like a teeter-totter, where the stick pivots back and forth. And you may have seen people do this little trick with a pencil or something where it looks like it's made out of rubber, but it's not. It's real wood. Okay? It actually would be like if you could drive a pin through your thumb, the stick, and your index finger. It would pivot like that. Now, I don't recommend doing that for many reasons. One of which is it makes it very hard to put the stick down. But we're not gonna worry about that. So we're just gonna think about it as if the pin were there and I was just pivoting like that. Now, I want the stick to come across the palm of my hand like this. I don't want to hold it way out like this or way in here like this. Here, my fingers can't even touch the stick. Here, this is just very unnatural position of my hand. So that's why I let students just grab it first, because a lot of times a student will just pick it up like this, and since it is so natural, they'll come pretty close to it without me saying anything. Okay, and then, by the way, I would really recommend that whatever is your stronger hand, if you're right-handed, start with your right. If you're left-handed, start with your left. and really establish it in that hand first, and then take your other hand and just mirror that on the other side. So we come over here, and here's what it looks like when I'm standing in front of the pad. Notice the height of the pad is just a little bit below the waist, so that if I put my sticks on the pad, my forearms are slanting down somewhat. That gives me a full range of motion with my wrists, my arm, and even my shoulder if I want to play a stroke coming from the shoulder. If it were way up here, that would be very awkward. Obviously, if it were way down here, same thing. So you may want to invest in a stand for your pad if you're using a pad, unless you can find a table in your house or some platform that you can set your practice pad on that'll put it at the right height for you. But it needs to be just below the waist approximately. So there's what the grip looks like. I'm going to move my wrists to get started. I'm going to move my wrists just like this in a waving motion, and we're just going to use our wrists and just play some single strokes. And in the next video, we'll get into more about the stroke and give you some other exercises to practice to get started. So that's the spiel on the grip. Again, like this video and please subscribe if you haven't already. And our next video will take us right into the book and we'll get started. So I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.